Last year, I took a last-minute trip to Scotland and spent a whole month there. I was house-sitting and looking after 2 pups. In between house chores and dog walks, I took scenic drives to explore and capture some of Scotland's stunning landscapes, discovered a new passion for birdwatching, and caught up with friends, some new and some I hadn't seen in 4 years since moving to England. It was a busy but restorative month of reconnection to myself, to nature, to other people. I'd love to share this time in my life with you, so let's go back to the beginning. I drove 9 hours from the south of England to the heart of Scotland in February 2025. The further north I went, the more the landscapes changed, along with the weather, and I was greeted by snow the day I arrived to the house sit. I already made a video of what a typical day in my life in Scotland looked like. You can watch it on my channel now too, so I won't be including much of that in here. This video is mostly the highlights of my stay. However, I did want to show some parts of my day-to-day life too, as 80% of the time I spent in Scotland I was at home or walking doggies. But every morning started the same. Birdwatching through the kitchen window while eating my breakfast, usually consisting of scrumptiously delicious hot cross buns. This lovely place was only a 5-minute drive from the house, and as you can see there's no more snow. Unfortunately it melted only a couple of days into my stay, but I enjoyed it while it lasted. What are you looking at the view as well? You're looking at the lovely, lovely view. Happy dogs. You may have seen a short I posted at the time of getting stranded on this path with no way to go because a whole herd of sheep were in the way. But thankfully the shepherdess came and saved the day, so we were able to get past and go home. Walk number 2. Oosh, I can't see. There. Good girl. Good girl, Gilly. Gilly, girl, goose. Birdwatching was never on my radar, or to be completely honest, something I've not even considered an interesting hobby before, mostly because the idea of it simply overwhelmed me. How could people tell apart all these seemingly identical birds when they moved so quickly and their songs sounded so similar? I never understood it until I had this daily opportunity to sit by a window that opened up to what I later understood to be a birdwatcher's paradise. Every day, a whole variety of species would flock by the feeders, joined by the infamous red squirrel. I was surprised by how captivated I was. And because the birds returned every day and I could observe them for long enough, I began to understand how to distinguish them, their colors, their shapes and sizes and behaviors. And that is how I slowly started to fall in love with birdwatching. Before leaving England, I had a feeling I should bring a particular project with me, and I'm glad I did. It was a travel journal I started back in 2015 after my first ever hiking trip to the Lake District. For one reason or another, I hadn't touched it since 2017, but over the years I'd continued collecting postcards and tickets, photographs, and other mementos from my travels. So on quiet evenings by the cosy fire, up in Scotland, I began filling it in again. As I sorted through old memories and revisited different periods of my life, I found myself reflecting on experiences and parts of my past I had tucked away. I didn't expect it to affect me so deeply, but the process turned out to be a healing journey. Something about doing this so many years later was very therapeutic. I suppose because I developed a new perspective that I didn't have at the time. Through sticking things down and writing and drawing, I was bringing to my conscious awareness parts of my past that still needed closure and peace. It took me a long while after this process to finally complete and integrate those chapters and stories I was holding in my body and mind, mostly through lots of grieving. But it was a process that needed to happen, and I'm glad it happened the way it did. I didn't plan my outings too much. Whether I was meeting up with friends or heading somewhere on my own with the dogs, a quick search on Google Maps and all trails was usually enough for me to decide whether to go. When I came across this place, the photos looked really nice and there were several trails leading off from the car park. So I packed up the dogs, some lunch, my camera and headed out. I started on one of the trails, and while the drone footage from that walk is beautiful as you can see, the hike itself felt a little underwhelming. As far as I could see, there were miles of track road stretching ahead with little to look at beyond the surrounding mountains, and with daylight already limited, I decided to turn back. Back at the car park, I couldn't shake the feeling that there had to be more to this place than what I'd seen. So I chose a different trail and set off again, taking a bit of a risk, but hoping I'd have enough daylight to make it back. The walk was pleasant and the scenery was certainly beautiful, but it still wasn't quite living up to the hype I'd read about online. As the light slowly began to fade, I started wondering whether I should turn around. Then I passed a group of hikers and asked how much further it was. About 10 minutes, they said. 10 minutes to what exactly? I wasn't entirely sure, but I'd already come this far, so I pressed on, slightly anxious. And then I saw it.
Oh my god. I can't believe it. Oh my god. What? What? This is incredible. I can't believe 10 minutes ago I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna start heading home. I could have missed this. Oh my god. This is unbelievable. touchy. I don't think I've ever seen a waterfall that goes into the sea before.
Even before I got into bird watching, there was one bird I'd wanted to see for years, the iconic puffin. I'm aware this is slightly turning into a Planet Earth episode, but I promise this is going somewhere. When I found out there was a nesting site only about an hour's drive away, my friend and I decided to make a day trip of it. But what we didn't realize was that we'd arrived a couple of months too early. We found the nesting burrows, but the puffins were still bobbing on the water somewhere far in the Atlantic probably. Disappointed as we were, we didn't rush to put our cameras away, because the cliffs were absolutely covered in razorbills and guillemots. Now if I zoom in on the footage here, the quality isn't great, but all of those white specks you can see here aren't rocks, they're birds. There must have been hundreds of thousands of them gathered here. I had never seen anything like it in my life. And the noise was actually incredible. Everywhere we looked, there were birds crowding the cliffs, swimming in the ocean and flying overhead. So even though I missed the puffins, some of the photographs we came away with ended up being among my favorites from the entire trip.
Look this way, Alexa. I'm taking a little video of you sitting there.
My time in Scotland was coming to an end. As I was finishing off my travel journal, I couldn't believe it had already been almost a month. When I came here, I thought I was simply looking after 2 dogs and seeing a couple of beautiful places. I didn't know yet how much space this break would end up creating for me. I discovered a new hobby, spent time with people I care about, revisited old memories, attended to things that needed completion, and found a little more peace. After one last trip to a waterfall with a friend, I welcomed the house owners back home with a homemade dinner, packed up my things, said goodbye to the dogs, and began the long drive back. On the way, I stopped at Hadrian's Wall in Northumberland for one final walk before returning home. Sometimes the most meaningful journeys aren't the ones where you travel across the world, but the ones that give you the chance to slow down long enough to notice what's been there all along. Scotland gave me a month of adventure, reflection, and reconnection, and I'm very grateful for the experience and everything it gave me. I'll always look back on this chapter of my life with a lot of fondness. Thank you for watching and reflecting with me, and I'll see you in the next one.